Uh, okay, welcome to the first session, Mohammed. That's great to see
Okay.
you here in this very first session.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to start talking about that SQL. What is SQL? You know, SQL stands for Structured Query Language. It is like the standard language used to communicate with databases. Like you can see here, we have lots of databases, or even you can download your database online, or at the same time, you can use the databases you've created before for your own work. And it is useful and because you can communicate with those internal databases, tables, and other uh, actually things you have here. Let's say that think of database as a very large digital library and SQL as the way you asked librarian to find books. It is like that. For example, you ask it to find some book from a librarian, and it gives you, he or she gives you, even the system gives you that book, and you can add books here like tables we have, and you can update your information, you can remove them, and with this MySQL, that is a kind of dialect of that main SQL language. We're trying to say that it is one of the most popular database management systems in the world, and it is free. It is fast and widely it is used in websites, and it doesn't mean that you can't go for that personal voice you have, but it is mostly used on mobile apps, on websites, and other even companies. And this area you're seeing is the space we're going to work on it. It is our visual space that we're going to talk about fundamental of MySQL. And the thing is that this MySQL Workbench is a graphical graphical tool that makes working with MySQL easier. Like you can see lots of, let's say, the tables, and you can find the relations between those tables or something like that. And it shows the visuals of data you have. For example, you have lots of huge volume of data on your background on your local, but in this way you can see visually, and it makes easier using the data you're following to do something out of that. And in this area you can find, you can use, you can type everything you want, you like queries, and you ask your queries, and you kind of inquire here, and with these pieces of code you can ask whatever you want from the database you have. And it is like you ask it to join some tables to compare what you have in each of them. It is like what you can add, what you can drop and delete in your database. And it is fundamentally usual for using those databases you need on your specific work. And do you have any special question, Mohammed? And If you have any questions, feel free to say I'm here. And you know,
You know,
today's
I
maybe.
have some question about it. In SQL Server or SQL Workbench, we need to create our own library, our own data from 0 to 100 to 100 or not. We are called the data from Excel and exvacate of them, exclude of them, or call some data from Excel or other database.
Yeah, thank you for that question. You know, it is like overwhelming to create your own database. It is not that much practical to rely on that because you would need a huge volume of data. It is not that much practical to rely on that, and the classical way of learning MySQL asks us to do it to kind of create our personal database, insert values to tables into tables, and it is like creating your database, creating your tables, and something like that. But in a real world aspect, you're kind of finding them on reliable website, like you are working on health sector, you can find something related to that from uh, nhs websites of countries and communities and national sectors. You can find it from wherever you want, like world bank and other specific website like kaggle and some other popular platforms that I will uh, tell you about them. And uh, yeah, of course, that's the case here. But today's lesson is about Workbench and SQL, and this is related to fundamental aspects of working on SQL, and you're being familiar with what is Workbench, SQL, how it works in this space, and lots of other things you can go here. But let's have a quick review on this platform. We're working on it. And the thing is that, as you can see, we have this total window, we have these menu bars. When you just click on it, a single click on it, you can see that we have lots of varieties of functionalities here. You can like create a tab, start working on it, or you can save a script or run a script, or whatever you want from file menu, or you can edit something you have. For example, you have selected this, you have copied this by a control C, and you can find it here, like copy, paste, and even delete this area. And like what you do in office uh, programs, you can do it like here, like by control Z for coming back from what you've written before, and control Y for redo and undo, something like that. And with this area, you can view whatever you want. You can see panels, hide sidebar. I mean, these sidebars you have show secondary sidebars. For example, what you have here, and you can turn it up here again, slide it back. And in query sections, you can execute, stop, and limit, or whatever else you need. In database, you can try to connect to your database as you get gotten kind of disconnected. And at the same time, you will see lots of other tools here. They work for you as your purposes. And we have server for server section, of course, for data export and import. These are extremely useful for you. For example, you want to send a database for me, you can export it here from here, and you can again import it whatever I've sent to you. For example, you can ask me, okay, Ali, send me that database we've created before, and I will click here. I will choose that database we've worked before, like in learning, but we talked about it. For example, let's bring this health teaching database with these tables it includes, and we can go to export it to a self-contained file, and we can specify it on here. For example, C user Ali, for example, backslash Sultan Hosseini, backslash, I don't know, something like that. And at the end, we can see the final name of this actually file we're trying to save it. And this is how you can go for data export as as a sample of what you can do with this part. And we have lots of other utilities here, like copying what you've written for using on it uh, in PHP, like to migrate it from SQL to PHP or whatever else you want. You can back up and restore backup here in tool session and something else. And at the same time, one of the most important thing is related to that help you have. Like other programs, you can find it here again, and you can check for updates and something else. We're going to be familiar in the next sessions, but the thing is that one of the let's keep a control and T for going to starting to type in a new tab. Let's say you're going to create a database for your own work, or the place you're working, and you've been asked to create a database of, I don't know, customers, clients, or whatever else in which area you work. Simply, you can start with a keyword like create. With that create, you can add your database. You should have a database name, like you can say it to me whatever you want.
You can write create database
Hmm.
uh, from Tehran, or generally from Tehran. The Tehran roads like the weather, the
Uh-huh.
population, uh,
Thank you for
yeah, the
that. Yeah.
constructions.
Of course, yeah. Tehran's roads. I don't know, something like that, and it can include lots of huge number of, I don't know, features and characters and information, data, raw data into it. You can add whatever you want into it, and the next is simply to add a semicolon here to, yeah, to announce that we're going to terminate it here. And just you can click on a control enter comment, and with that you can execute whatever you've selected. You can go with this one. It shows, it is like a strike sign here. You can execute the statement you've selected under your I don't know, keyboard's cursor. And at the same time, when it comes to uh, executing it, you can go for one of these signs here. And the thing is that you can run it as you can hear, We have again like it says one row is affected. It shows that we've created that Tehran road. Yeah, for an example. And the next step is to ask to use that Tehran road, or whatever you've called it before. And what else do we need, Muhammad? We need, of course, a semicolon
Uh,
here to.
Tehran weather.
Yeah, of course, we will have lots of other tables names
Table
in
name. Okay.
here, but the thing is that we're just going to call it to see what we've created before, and again we can click on it, and again when it comes to executing it or running it, we can see that it says use Tehran road is affected. It shows that everything is okay. You can now use this database. But the thing is that you have created a new database. It's called Tehran Road, and that selected use shows that database is ready to work on that. And the next part is that you should primarily be familiar with data types to add something into not database actually. You've used it, and now you should firstly go for being familiar with databases. And I want you to pay attention to this part. For example, we have lots of data types, and the first data type is like int. With int, you're trying to say that I want to write or use or something else, and I'm going to make it for whole numbers like age and quantity, and it stands for integers. And like what, like 55 or 999, and these are integers, and it stands for whole numbers in a simple way. Okay. And again, we can go for the next data type. It is related to varchar, variable character. And in this time, we can specify the, the quantity or the numbers, the specific number of this varchar. For example, we can go to say that we have a name. That name includes 100 characters, and we can use this varchar for several purposes, like what, like text, like I don't know, like names, last names, addresses, or something you want. But it is fundamentally related to another thing that is called a string. String is showed like a text you want to actually to browse, and we can show it like str for showing that this is like a string type, and like for names, I don't know, last names or something like this. And another question for you, why do you see these phrases or these parts as in blue? Why why you see these ones in black and why these ones blue? You know, these names or these parts are previously reserved for like MySQL or SQL. These texts are being reserved before, and we can see them like in blue. And imagine you have a long text. In that way, you have a data type like text, you have a date, you have a data type date, you have something like numbers with decimals. Like I think you can go for a price like this price, I don't know, something like this, and with these decimals. In this case, you can go for decimal, and it stands for like you can use and like 10 to, and at the same time we have data type like enum. In enum you can include something like m, like male and female, or something else you can add it here. And in this case you should go for specific values allowed. And we have booleans or tiny int, booleans for again true and false and something like that. And let's write it here, boolean. And in this boolean you are facing with those, let's say, true or false. And these are our data types. And at the same time, when it comes to making them like a comment and like a note here, you can use a control and a slash. It gets like two dashes here, and you can find it like your notes here. And it doesn't appear when it comes to kind of write your query. It doesn't affect for your kind of final, let's say, output. And it doesn't affect your final outputs. And let's wrap up this session with a final work. For example, you want to create a table. You can use again that create table statement, and you can, what do you want to call your table this time?
Uh, Tehran, Tehran Road, Tehran neighborhood, or Tehran weather.
Of course, you can go for lots of
Here a question, Mr. Malik.
yeah.
Here are two different questions. Uh, from start to now, I understand how can create a table. Okay, create a table, create any chart, create any text, a data, a decimal number, and many data can I enter in this area. Okay, but I want to know, is there any show visual view? Is there any visual view to see the end of this uh, entering data inquiry
Yeah, of
or not?
course. Yeah,
Or not? Just
absolutely.
write it and enter the other software to show the visual view.
Absolutely, absolutely, we have it. Like you can see lots of other tables here under this actually the database you have. For example, when it comes to trying to show it here, like you can see that we've selected that everything, we've selected everything from that database attached to this table, and with this table's name you can see the visual of that table related to this database. And when it comes to your own created database, you will have the chance to see it. But firstly, you should write whatever you want. You should create your queries with this. For example, we've created that error road, and that is the database name you have. Again, you should create lots of other tables to have the possibility of relating to each other. For example, you have the finance sector of this Tehran road, or where what other roads you're trying to schedule or think about it, or created it, lots of databases out of them or tables out of them. But here you should call your database like your table, excuse me, uh, like
Uh,
finance. Yeah,
uh,
in this database you should talk about the financing of this Tehran roads. I don't know, or possibilities, or I don't
Local
know.
road or highway road.
Mm, of course, you can go for whatever you want, but the thing is that what you have in hand to add the exact data you have. For example, imagine you have lots of information, lots of raw data about Tehran Road. You need to show them in a specific database, or and it requires you to create your own tables. You have the possibility of creating lots of huge number of tables here, and this is a simple example of that. And yeah, let's go to create this table, and we can use create table finance and then open a parenthesis here, then go for the ideas you have or whatever you need to have. For example, uh, imagine you are a uh, I don't know, a the first person in actually operating this let's say project. You can specify a project ID, and that project ID should have a kind of data type here. For example, how we can call it like integer, and we can call it again as a primary key here, and it stands for the key fundamental of your actually table that is fixed like always. And at the same time you can specify it like auto increment. It it kind of increased as automated. For example, as you type, it doesn't require to type anything, and it kind of accumulates, added itself to itself some thing like in integers, and you go for that project name. Let's be a bit more clean with that. We can go one of these data types like varchar, but we don't need that 100 characters. I think 50 is enough for that. We should specify that it is not null. We don't allow it to be null. And based on that, we go to specify it shouldn't be null and it should have a value on it. And then bring another comma. And as you can see at the end of each of these actually, let's say, columns names, we have that comma to separate them with that comma. And again, we tell me whatever you guess. What else do we need? Like, as you can see in this health teaching database, we have antibiotic ID, antibiotic name, drug class, or something else. Like you can see here, we have record ID, pathogen ID, and surveillance year, or lots of other inputs. Okay, what do you guess? What kinds of guess do you have to add another column for this table of this database we have? But imagine that we need to employer, I don't know, employer name. Imagine you are a contractor or something like that. In that case, you should specify that voucher again here. It shows that your employer's name is like in 50 characters, and it is like that. And the next thing is that about budget, for example, I don't know, something like budget. And you can specify it in what, something like integer again, because that is a simple quantity, or actually simple number, and something like that, and etc. You can add lots of variables here as creating your columns, and it is all based on your ideas. And at the same time, let's bring another thing to use out of these data types here. You can add something like it doesn't relate to this table's name, but we can say something like gender. In this gender feature, we can add something again like, which one do you go for? For example, we can use this anium. Here again, it shows that gender is male or female. Or what else do you guess? Like saying enrollment. Enrollment, for example, date. And this is another input. And what can be the data type here? What is your guess? For example, we can go for date again here. And this date shows the structure of this out, actually inputs. And yeah, that can be a simple sample. And at the end, we can close that parenthesis. But the thing is that we may need a kind of indentation here. And by clicking here, using a tab, key, you can do something like that, but it would be better. Yeah, like this. And let's see what is the output. Now, what should I do right now? How should I run this table? Easily, I should click which of these items. Of course, I can go for this one, or simply I can just control and enter on it. And here you can see again, it says uh, the action number 21st. In this time, it is created, and these are the components of this table. Or and you can see that zero row is affected because you haven't entered a specific value here. It is like the table you've created. Any questions, Mohammed?
No,
Everything
everything
is
is
clear.
clear.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
of course, of course. Thank you for that. And this is our very first session, and we've learned here that we can create a database here. We can use that database. We learned something about data types, that we have the possibility of using them as a feature of our inputs. And based on these data types, we kind of specified the ingredients of this table called finance. And next thing is that in the next session, we should go for inserting values into this table we've created. And by that, we can go for lots of records, like the records you can see here. And let's pull it down and see. For example, we have the columns names, and we have the records here. We have around, for example, 300 records here. And at the same time, we can create all of the records gradually, not in a single session, of course. And it does need a data clerk to insert all of them into our table. But at the same time, as you asked before, we may need a pre-designed database with lots of, I don't know, tables, to see what's going on inside these tables, to use the feature of relationships between these tables. And it does help us to kind of find and use the relations between these actually tables we have. And the thing is that we may need to kind of mix or combine some of them to have a better or deeper understanding about the relevance of each of them, or to find out something. And yeah, that's the case here, Muhammad. And the next thing is that we can add some more columns to this table. We can kind of drop and delete, and we can do lots of other operations in here. And thank you for your attention today. And I'm ready to answer your questions, if any.
okay, I have my
Yeah, I can hear you. If you have
Okay.
a question, I'm ready to answer. If not, we can say goodbye to the next session.
Okay. No, I need more some space to work on this basic information about SQL. Okay,
Of course.
to find out more about how can I use in my especially work in construction project management. Okay, absolutely, I need to create a database from Tehran. Okay, from Tehran, any aspect of from Tehran that I want to use in any article that I want to iterate. Okay, so I need some space to work on it and find out more about this SQL, work with the software more and more time. And this is clear. I understand all you say, and I want to say thank you very much.
Well,
Uh, yeah,
yeah, thank you, and see you next time.
see you next time. Have a good time. Take care of yourself, and God bless you.
Thank you, and bye bye.